everyone, welcome to the Mercury Virtual. I hope you are doing good. Today I am going to continue with your same module, that is the quality systems in IT, but with a new chapter, that is chapter number 4, that is the quality management system. In the last class we have finished with the chapter number 3, that is the role, origin and the applications of the management system or ISO standards. So now let's start with the new chapter, that is the quality management system, and this is one of the important, or we can say the base of the module, that is a quality management system. So what are the various quality management metrics that is available, or how we are using the system that is for the quality, or that is used for the quality management, that is known as the quality management system. So a system must have an aim. That means every system whatever we are using, that must have an aim, that is creating or create for something of the new, that is used for the quality management system. So a system must have an aim. A system must create something of value. That is what about the system, or in other words, result. That is, whenever we are using the system, whenever we are creating the system, that is created by using the result. That is, in other words, results. And management of the system requires knowledge of the interrelationship between all the components within the system and of the work that work in it. So whatever the management resources, whatever the resources, whatever the system that is required, that is required knowledge of the interrelationship between all the components within the system. So whatever the component that is followed within the system and the people that work in it, that is the quality management system. Now, next is summary of the requirement. That is, what is the main summary of the requirement, or what are the various phases by which we can use the summary, that is summary of the requirements. So section 4 of ISO 9001 contains the basic requirement for establishing a management system. That is, what are the various, or what is the basic requirement that is used for establishing a management system rather than any particular component of the system. In some respect, they are duplicated in other clause of the standard, but is a bad thing, that is emphasis on the principal action that is necessary to develop, implement, maintain, and improve such a system. That is summary of the requirement. So what is the main requirement that is used? And the cycle commences with the organization purpose. So first of all, there is the organization purpose, or what is the main aim of the organization, that is the organization purpose, from which are developed objectives. In planning to meet these objectives, the processes are identifying. So whatever the processes that are identifying and their sequence and interaction determined. So whatever the interaction, whatever the sequence that is followed up, so these objectives are identified and the sequence are maintained or determined. And once the relationship between processes is known, so once the relationship is known, then the criteria and the methods for the effective operation and the control can be developed and documented. So first of all, there is an objective that to be followed, then the processes are identified, then the critical methods are documented, then the processes are described in an effective manner, effective communication manner, and then the suitable way of doing this would be to compile the process description into the quality manual. That means there should be a quality manual, procedures, record that should follow, that shows how the processes interact. That means how the processes interact within the organization. And before implementation, the processes need to be resourced and the information necessary to operate and control them deployed and brought under the document control. So whatever the information resources, whatever the data that is required to be operate and control, then deployed and brought under the document control. And once operational, that means once it is in use, that needs to be monitored to ensure that they are functioning as planned. So they are functioning as planned out, as used out, that is operational. Then measurements taken to verify that the processes are delivered that the required output. That means whatever the required output, whatever the required criteria that is follow up, that action will be taken out to achieve the planned objective or the planned result. And the data obtained from monitoring and measurement that is captured on control needs to be analyzed. So whatever the data that is maintained, that needs to be analyzed, that needs to be monitored and used for the continual improvement, that is identify and the agreed actions implemented. So whatever the action that is follow up, that is followed with the planned result, that is followed with the measurement criteria. Then how to establish a quality management system. That is the first part, that is what are the various steps that is used for the quality management system, that is establishing a quality management system. That is the first part, that is 4.1. So the standard requires the organization to develop a quality management system. So there is a standard that requires the organization to establish a quality management system in accordance with the requirement of the ISO 9001. So whatever the organization, whatever the quality management system that is used, that is required with the ISO 9001, there is a 4.1, that is establishing a quality management system that is used with the requirement of the ISO 9001. What does this mean? That means what is the main use, or what does it mean? So to establish means to set up on a permanent basis, install or create, and therefore in establishing a management system. That means first of all create a management system, that is a system that is used to develop something. So to establish, to set up on a permanent basis, install or create, and therefore in establishing a management system, it has to be designed, constructed, resourced, installed, and integrated into the organization structure. So whatever the organization structure, whatever the data that is used, that is integrated into the organization by signifying that the management system on a paper is not management system. That means whatever the management system that we follow, that is not a paper based management system, but what we plan. So first of all, getting the objective, then making the designing part, analysis part. That means there is a step-by-step sequence that is known as the that is known as a management system. And establishing a system in accordance with the requirement of ISO 9001 means that the characteristics of the system had to meet the requirements of the ISO 9001. So whatever the characteristics that is used to meet the requirements of the ISO 9001. However, the requirements of the ISO 9001 are not expressed as a system. That means they are not expressed as a system requirement of the form. And the system will call and the system will use as a forum or as a form that is used to the requirement of the form. The organization shall that there will be used for the quality management system. Now, why it is necessary for the quality management system? That is the main question. The next question that arises is that why it is necessary. That means why it is necessary to use the ISO 9001 standard, or what are the various requirements that is used for the ISO 9001 standard. So this requirement responds to the system approach principle. So ISO 9001 contains a series of the requirements which, if met, will provide the management system. That means whenever we are using the ISO 9001, that contains a set of the requirements, or the series of the requirement, that means a sequence of the requirement, which if met, that means which if met will provide the management system, that provide the management system capability with the capability or the of supplying the product and the services. So whatever the product and the services that is available, that is used for the ISO 9001 standard, that contains a series of the requirement that is used for supplying the product and the services that satisfy the organization customers. So whatever the organization customer that is using the product and the services, that is used to satisfy the organization customer. And all organizations have a management system. That is, every organization have a management system, because every organization have some system, that is production, sales, marketing. Every management or every organization has some system that is used, that is a way of working, but in some it is not formalized. That is, in other words, it is not partially formalized but not effective, and it is used in a few organizations, that is used with the management system, that is used for the objective to achieve year after year. That means whatever the objective, whatever the criteria they are following the criteria, they are achieve the criteria, achieve the objective year after the year. In such an organization, a management system has to be established or has been established rather than involved. And if an organization desire year after year success, it needs a formal mechanism to accomplish this. So whatever the formal criteria, whatever the formal mechanism that is used to determine the quality management system. Now, what are the various requirements? This requires the management to think of a system as a set of the interconnected processes. So whatever the management processes, whatever the criteria that is used is that think about the system. So this requires the management to think about the system as a set of interconnected processes. That means think about the system as the interconnected processes that include the task, resources, and the behavior. So whatever the task, whatever the resources that is used, whatever the behavior that is used, that is talking about the quality management system, or that is all about the quality management system. Now, how is it this implement, or how is this implemented? So the terms establish, document, implement, maintain, and improve are used in the standard as this is a sequence of activities. That means there is a sequence of activities that is used when in reality. And in order to establish a system, it is put in the place. That means whatever the criteria, whatever the material, whatever the sequence, whatever the activity that is used, that is put into the place, and putting a system in place requires two separate actions. So there are two separate actions that is implemented using the quality, or that is used for implementing the quality management. That is during the design, or the design the system using a process that transform the system requirements into the specific characteristics. So whatever the specific characteristics that is used, that is used for the system requirement that results in a clear definition of all the processes. So whatever the process that is used, so that shows a clear definition of all the processes that meets the system requirement. That means whatever the requirement of the system that should be met with the use of the system requirement, with the use of the system design. Then construct the system using a process that document, install, commissions, and integrate the processes to deliver the required business output. So whatever the system output, whatever the requirement that is used, so construct the system using a process that document, install, commission, and integrate the requirement that is used to process and deliver the required business output. So whatever the required business output that is delivered using the quality management system. The ways in which these phases of quality are related is illustrated in this one. That is, first one is improvement in the conformity, and there is a diagram that is also shown with the 4.1, that is a full-fledged system management process model. So first of all, there is a business management that includes the corporate policy and the objective. Then there is a customer need and the expectation that is carried out. Then there is a governing requirement. So there is a governing requirement also for the corporate policy and the objectives. Then there is a efficiency improvement that includes the system design. Then there is a system construction. Then there is a system operation. That means there is a system design, system construction, and the system operation that will be followed up for the efficiency improvement, conformity, then conformity improvement. So these are the various improvement that is followed up for the management system, business management, governing requirements, and the customers. And there is a system evaluation criteria that is also followed up for the certification body, feedback, results, system maintenance, system requirements, and there is a business management. That means these are the various phases by which we can apply the system management process model that is used for applying the system management process model. This is the main process model that is followed up for the quality management system or for improving the quality management system. Now, first one is the process installation that is concerned with the bringing the information, human resource. That means whatever the material that is required for the implementation. That means bring together all these material. That is, all the materials are bringing together, all the resources are bringing together in order to get the relationship, so that all the components are put in place in readiness to commence the operation. So whatever the operation that is followed up, that is used for the process installation. And in many cases the process will be installed already because it existed before the formalization, because it exists before the formalization, that is a process installation. And in some cases process installation will require a cultural change. That means whatever the cultural change that is required, that is used to introduce the people who are not prepared for it, that is used for the process based dynamic model or process based model that is used into the environment in which they are thinking of the terms that thinking to fail. Therefore, a pursuer to process installer is the preparation of the sound foundations. So whatever the sound foundations that will be used, that is used for the process installation. So installation is not a term that is often used with respect to the management system. This is used to the management system implementation. So how we can implement, that is implemented by using the installation, by using the process requirement that is used for installing the term that is used for installing the management resources that is required for the installation. And as stated previously, in order to establish a management system, one need to design, resource, and install it. So first of all, there is a design part, and there is a resource part, there is an installing part. That means we have to design, we have to gain the resources, we have to install it with the use of the quality management system. And the process of installing a new process or one that requires a change in the practice is one that is more concerned with the management of change. So whatever the management of changes that is required, that is used for installing a new system, for installing a new process that is appreciated or that is useful in the practices. So this is the business management. Then there is a customer needs and the expectation, then governing requirements, then efficiency improvement, conformity improvement, customer certification body, etc. Then next is a process commissioning. So the process commissioning is concerned with getting all the new processes working following installation. So whatever the new process that is followed up, that is concerned with getting all the new processes that is used following the installation, and people will use the reorientation and receive all the necessary process information. So whatever the information that is required or that is useful, that is acquired in the process commissioning or the process requirement. Then there is a process integration. That means changing the behavior or whatever the behavior that is using. So it is concerned with changing behavior so that the people do the right things right time without having to told. That means there should be a proper process integration so that everyone knows their responsibility, whatever the integration, whatever the tool that is using. So they are using the process integration tool, they are using the process integration methods that is predictable and produce the result that are required. Then there is a system integration that is concerned with making the interconnections between the processes, ensuring that all the linkages are in place and that the output from a process feed the interfacing processes at the right time with the right quality. That means there should be a proper is used to interface the processes at the right time in the right quality. So the system will not be effective if the process linkage do not function properly. The next is identifying the processes. That means how to identify the process. So the standard requires the organization to identify the processes that is needed for the quality management system. So whatever the requirement that is followed up to identify the processes that is needed for the quality management system and their application throughout the organization. So that is applicable throughout the organization, that is used throughout the quality management system. Now, what does this mean? That means how we are going to identify the requirements. So what does this mean? So processes produce the result of the added value. So whatever the result, whatever the criteria that is used for identifying the organization objective, organization need, that is applicable for identifying the processes. And this is the end-to-end process. There is the interested party needs. There is the process A, process B, and the process C. Now, how it is implemented? That is implemented by using the various approaches. So one of the approach that is used is the top-down approach. That means we are starting from the top one and move to the back down. That means the top-down approach. So the next approach that is using is the top-down approach. So one of the approach that is using of the top-down approach. So whatever the top-down approach that we are following, so from the organization mission statement, determine the factor upon which the accomplishment of the mission depend. That means first of all taking out the aim of the organization. That what is the main aim of the organization. Then divide that aim into the different processes. So follow the top-down approach. That means there should be a more full-fledged approach that is known as the top-down approach that is used with equipment of the capital, computer staff, competent staff, equipment and the material that is also equipped with the well-equipped facility. So there should be a well-equipped facility that is also available for the design processes, for the distribution processes. And a delivery of this capability requires a capable resource management system that manage the human, physical, and the financial resources. So whatever the physical resources, whatever the management resources, whatever the capital resources that is applicable, that is available for the human, physical, and the financial resources. Another CFF or CSF, that will be the ability of the organization to identify the customer needs and the expectations in the chosen market, and that is used for the effective marketing process. And decomposing the layers further, that means first of all there is a main problem that is subdivided into next problem, next problem, next problem. So decomposing the layers further by analyzing each sub process will identifying the process or work processes and eventually the task that is performed by the specific individual. So whatever the individual, whatever the data that is required, that is used to specify the specific individuals. So this is as deep in the hierarchy that you should need to go. Whatever the requirement, whatever the hierarchy that is applicable for the processes, that is applicable for the specific individual, that is applicable for the individual that is using of, that is the top-down approach. So in simple terms, there is a main problem that is further divided into next part, next part, next part, that is known as a top-down approach. Now next is a bottom-up approach. That is take any group of tasks within a function, establish the processes to which they contribute, keeping the focus on the external party, that is used with the bottom up approach. That means moving downward to the, that means moving downward to the back top down. That means the bottom up approach, so taking the lesser part, that is a lower process, then move to the main process, then main process, that is known as the bottom up approach. And the processes you identify, the processes do you use that is used for the management system, that is used for the contact details, that is used for the contact method, that is used for converting the customer needs into the interest in the organization product and the services. So whatever the product and services of the customer that is required as long as understanding the customer needs. So first of all, the main target is to understand the process needs or understand the customer needs. That means what the customer required or what the customer want, that is the organization or understanding the customer needs. The next is the business management processes that needs to convert the needs of the policy or the needs of the interested parties into the policies and the procedures. So whatever the policies, whatever the procedure that is followed, that means converting the needs of the interested parties into the policies and the objective for their fulfillment, providing the for ensuring them, meeting them, and also used with the interested parties. That is known as the mission management. Then there is a resource management process that converts the organization objective into the facility that is fully equipped within the human, physical, and the financial resources. That means whatever the financial resources, whatever the human and the physical is applicable for the asset management, that is applicable for the new resources that is required for the new processes. Then order fulfillment process that converts the main prospect into the satisfied customer. That means that converting the main process into satisfied customer so that the customer will be satisfied. This is the differentiate between the process naming conventions. Then this is a diagram that shows how the outside how we are using the outside the organization, outside the business, that is how the business deal with the various requirements. So first of all, there is a customer inquiries, then customer requirement, then customer supplied product, then there is a finance market, standards, vendor supplied, labor market, impact on the stakeholder, product and the services. So whatever the organization needs, that is need for the inside the organization, that is used for outside the organization, that is the customer inquiries, customer requirements, that is used for the organizations. Now these are the various model that is integrated with the within the business, that is the IDFF0, that is a functional model, then IDFF1, that is the information model, then dynamic models, then process model. So there are four models that is applicable or that is available within this one. Now what are the four models? First of all, so the first is the function model, then there is an information model, then there is a dynamic model, then there is a process model. So these are the four models that is used in the organization: information, dynamics, and the process model. And this is the IDFF is a EF is a systematic method of modeling, the reviewing how the function will work. Now next is sequence and iteration of the processes, that is what is the main sequence, how to use the processes.